forget to do that. We are recording the presentation. So tomorrow I will send out the recording. So don't worry about it. If you don't worry about like writing every little thing down, if you miss something, you can just kind of listen and you'll get the recording tomorrow. So if you want to go back and hear another part again, you can do that. I will also send out a list of all the vendors that are presenting tonight. And even we have a few that weren't able to come tonight, but you'll still get their information as well tomorrow. So you can look them up and follow up individually if you hear something, one of our organizations that you think would best meet your needs. I think that's it. I think we're ready to go. How it will work is each presenter will give just a brief overview of their organization and the services that they offer. And then again, you can ask questions and you can follow up with individual organizations for lengthier, discussions after the meeting. So we're going to start with Marissa Preston with OCHN. Marissa, feel free to share your screen.
Okay. Hold on one second. I'm sorry.
It was up.
Oh, it was?
Yep, it was.
Oh. Let's try this one more time. Since it's working on your end, I'll just trust and believe.
Yep, we can see it.
All right. Okay, so I am Marissa Preston. I am from Oakland Community Health Network. We are Oakland County's community mental health provider. We work with individuals from birth through geriatric, dealing with serious mental illness, serious emotional disturbances, intellectual and developmental disabilities, infant mental health, and substance use disorders. So we're kind of like the front door for any kind of mental health, substance use needs that you might have, whether it be children, adults, elderly, infants. We serve quite a few people every year. And our main access point is going to be in Pontiac at the 1200 North Telegraph Road, over by where the Oakland County Courthouse and the animal shelter and the sheriff's department, where they are. We are typically open from 8:30 to about 3:30, but we recommend calling by phone to schedule an appointment just to reduce the wait times. The phone number here, 248-464-6363, is our general access line. And you'll get one of our referral specialists on the phone who are kind of the point person and can connect you to whatever you might need. I am specifically a part of the mental health school navigator team. It's a relatively new team. This is our second school year that we've been in existence. Our purpose is to reduce barriers for mental health, substance use, and intellectual and developmental disability services around Oakland County. So we partner with parents in the school districts to kind of help adults navigate the mental health system for the children in their lives. We're able to connect people to services. If they have Medicaid, we can kind of make that direct connection. And families with private insurance, we're able to help them navigate the process and kind of take some of the front end load off. So we're able to make some of those initial phone calls and kind of come up with a more succinct list of resources rather than some of the generic general ones that some people are getting from pediatricians or schools or things like that. Like I was saying, anyone can make a referral to the school mental health navigator team. It doesn't have to come from the school. It can come from a parent, a guardian, a student. We have our own direct phone line that's up on the slide there, or the email. And the email gets blasted out to our whole team. So our whole team will be able to see kind of what you're looking for, what you're interested in. We just ask that if a referral is coming from a school, that they give a heads up to the parents of, hey, I heard about this program and I think it would be beneficial for your student. Is it okay if I share your information? And parents obviously are able to make that determination themselves because it's their own child. We do make the initial connection and referral to any kind of needs that a family might need, whether they be accessing a therapist, a psychiatrist, an ABA provider, getting an initial autism diagnosis, kind of navigating the turning 18, aging out of the schools process. And after we make that first initial connection, and we get the family set up with whatever services they might need, we follow up again after 30 days to make sure, hey, did you make that intake? Did the therapist work out for you okay? Were you able to complete that ADOS testing? And if not, we're able to kind of see what barriers were in place. And if so, then we can close the case. And if they ever need anything in the future, families are more than welcome to call as many times as they have with as many different needs as they have. We are providing funding assistance for mental health treatment. The funds are only limited by having an Oakland County mailing address and having a student in an Oakland County school. So the Oakland County students have to be K through 12 or the adult transition students. We're able to cover copays and deductibles for mental health services, so therapy, psychiatry, psychiatric medications. Unfortunately, we're not able to cover speech therapy, occupational therapy, or ABA therapy. And you can either shoot us an email, give us a phone call, or if you go on the general OCHN website, there's a link there that you can submit information. We just need a consent form and some other signatures like that. And it takes about 6 to 8 weeks from submission to get your reimbursement in the mail. One additional thing, I'm sorry, with the mental health funding assistance is that if anyone you know of has a connection to an Oxford school, they're eligible for an additional $2,000 on top of that. So the Oxford students are eligible for $4,000, and everyone outside of Oxford is eligible for the $2,000. OCHN contracts with Common Ground to provide adult crisis services in Oakland County. So if there's an adult facing a mental health crisis, we have a couple different options available right in the 1200 North Pontiac building. Houses Oasis and Oakert and the CRU and the Sober Support Unit, which are just different avenues of seeking rapid treatment for either substance use, mental health, or mental health and substance abuse. Common Ground also does have a pretty big victims assistance department, a legal clinic, and they help facilitate the 988 crisis line. And New Oakland is now the youth crisis provider of Oakland County. They have a mobile crisis team for anyone under the age of 21 who are experiencing a mental health crisis. The phone number down towards the bottom of the slide, the 877-800 phone number, you can call if a child is in a mental health crisis. It's a good alternative to calling the police. They are able to, if applicable, do a screening over the phone to see if the child is eligible for inpatient psychiatric care, partial hospitalization, outpatient care, or if they just need continued follow-up. If they would need a check-in the next day, a check-in the third day, they can do that as well. Between the hours of 2 and 10 in the evening, they are sometimes able to deploy the mobile crisis team to a home or a park and kind of meet face-to-face with the individual in crisis. So that is an option as well. And a new feature that we have right in the 1200 North Pontiac building, the RCC, is the Youth and Family Care Connection. So when they separated the crisis care out to New Oakland for children and Common Ground for adults, the New Oakland Crisis Center now has its own waiting room, so kids are no longer waiting with adults in crisis. And they have a small unit of about 8 beds where they're able to house children for up to 3 days and kind of determine their level of care. These children come in and they're in crisis. Instead of going directly to the ER, they're able to stay in the Youth and Family Care Connection in the stabilization unit. They're able to meet with a nurse, a doctor. They're able to kind of get a little bit of respite from their family and see after those 3 days, are they able to go home? Do they need a partial hospitalization program, or do they need to then go inpatient? So just a good alternative rather than going directly to the emergency room. But like I said, the Youth and Family Care Connection, their unit only has 8 beds. So somewhat of a limit, is it's relatively full most of the time. OCHN also has a veteran navigator program. So if you or anyone you know is a veteran, we are able to help them get connected to all of the benefits that they are entitled to. We have a veteran navigator whose name is Chaka, and he's able to kind of get people connected into the VA and help people navigate that whole overwhelming system. We also have a peer support specialist who's currently running a peer support group for veterans in the community. And so it's just different kind of levels of support for the veterans in your life. OCHN is also contracted out the RISE Center, which is the short-term case management for anything that you can think of, whether it be housing, recovery, food banks, clothing shelters, just kind of a short-term bridging the gap of finding kind of those needs in the community that might not always be so easy to access. And our main access line is going to be the best phone number for questions, comments, concerns, the 248-464-6363. And Tradina Taylor is the manager of access, and that is her email up on the screen as well. So if you have any questions, I would be happy to take them.
Thanks, Marissa. I see one in the chat. Does anybody know how I can figure out if my daughter has Medicare or Medicaid? She has a green medical card, but I get confused which it is. I would guess probably Medicaid, but I think they can probably help you at access with that, right?
Yep, you can go, either call the general access phone number or call the school navigator number, and we can definitely look into that and see what you have or what you're eligible for, and if you'd like to apply for the other one.
Mm-hmm. Any other questions for Marissa? Nope. Okay, thank you. Okay, so the next presenter is me. So yeah, screen here. Let's see if this works. Okay, can everybody see that? Okay. So at Easter Seals Mork, our purpose is to lead the way to 100% equity, inclusion, and access for people with disabilities, families, and communities. So we provide comprehensive services to individuals that have developmental disabilities as well as mental health issues. You may have heard recently, it's been about 1.5 years, but a lot of people still maybe haven't heard about it or are confused by it. But Easter Seals in Michigan and Mork actually merged together. So now we're called Easter Seals Mork, and Easter Seals Michigan focused largely in the mental health area, as well as autism and some disabilities. Mork really specialized in developmental disabilities. So one of the reasons why we came together is really so that we could provide more services better in a better way. So a lot of times I know when I came from the Mork side of the merger. So when I was at Mork, we would have a lot of individuals who had a developmental disability. That was their primary diagnosis, but they also had a co-occurring mental health issue. And sometimes it was the mental health issue that was actually causing more issues for the individual's quality of life than the developmental disability. But because that was their primary diagnosis, they were put, into Mork services. And so with the merger, we're able to deal with all of those things under one roof. And it's a way to really open up more services for folks and to get them served in a more coordinated way. So I just wanted to give that little explanation for the merger, because I know there's still a lot of confusion about that. So together as Easter Seals Mork, these are the main services that we offer. I'll talk about them. In terms of mental health services, that's really all types of individual, group therapy, support groups, trauma assessments, trauma treatment, crisis services. In terms of autism, we actually are one of the approved providers to do the autism assessments. So we can do the assessments. We have multiple clinics for autism where we do the ABA therapy. Our autism services are fully comprehensive. We have speech, we have OT, we have the play project, we have support groups for teens, we have support groups for parents. And we're just getting ready to launch a campaign to build a state-of-the-art autism center in Waterford. So we expect that to open in maybe a year and a half. And that's really going to be a state-of-the-art center really in all of Michigan for autism care. So we're excited about that. As I mentioned, we have OT and speech. We also serve individuals who have substance use disorders. We have substance use treatment, support groups, therapy. We're co-located in almost 20 schools. So we have staff that are actually based in multiple schools in Oakland County. So those individuals they're clinicians that are actually part of the school team. So if you had a student that was maybe struggling, struggling with anxiety or struggling with behavioral issues, and the school staff needed a little extra support, the Easter Seals Mork staff that was in the school could be part of that team and could offer that support both to the student as well as to the other school staff. In terms of individuals with developmental disabilities, Easter Seals Mork is one of the two support coordination providers for individuals with developmental disabilities. So if you have a person that has a developmental disability in Oakland County, you go through, and I'll talk a little bit more about access in a minute, you would go through the Access Center. And if deemed eligible for services, you're given a choice of two providers. It would be Easter Seals Mork or CLS. And if you choose, either one, we would receive your referral, and then we would work with you to develop a person-centered plan. So what we would do is we would go through every area of life, your child's life, from where do they want to live? Do they want to live with you with supports? Do they want to live in their own apartment with supports, or maybe with a roommate with supports? Do they want to live in a group home setting? There's lots of available options for that. Do they wish to work? Do they wish to have a job? What types of vocational programming might they need? How, do they need what we would call, community living supports, where they need help with maybe navigating the community, a few hours a week for that, maybe managing money, learning how to live, personal care, taking care of themselves, taking care of a household. Those types of services. So we go through every area of life and what is the need, and then what supports, what is the goal? What is the goal? And then what are the supports that would be needed to achieve that goal in that area of life? And that becomes the person-centered plan. And then we work with our large network of providers to help, get you connected to the right services to implement that plan. A couple other services that we offer. We have the Dreams Unlimited Clubhouse. The clubhouse is sort of a dual function. Number one, it's a recreational opportunity. It's a place people can go and hang out with peers, kind of engage in recreation, fun stuff. And then it also serves as kind of a vocational program as well. So we have individuals who go there and they maybe they're interested in getting a job at a restaurant, and so they learn some cooking skills in the kitchen at Clubhouse, where they can help build up their skills, so then maybe they can go get a job in the community. So it serves dual purpose. We also run the Miracle League, which is an adaptive baseball program. We have 2 fields, one in Southfield and one in Lake Orion, and signups are just about to start for the summer league here. So Miracle League is a great program. Individuals of all ages, from children all the way to adults with any type of disability, are able to play, a team sport with all the support and joy that comes with that. So that's a great program. And then in the off season, we've been building up our year-round activities. So we have bowling, we have Miracle League Bowling, and we're working on an adaptive fitness program and dance programs and other things as well. So we try to have activities year-round. So how do you access our services? There's 2 ways. The first way is you can always call us at 1-800-75-SEALS. So Easter Seals, MORC, we have literally over 100 different programs. And the thing is, a lot of our programs, they all have different eligibility requirements. Some are offered at some locations and not others. So it's a lot to keep track of. So the best thing to do is just call that 1-800 number, tell them what you need, and then they will let you know if we have a program that can meet your needs. For mental health and autism, we accept Medicaid, most private insurances, and we also offer a sliding fee scale. We don't turn anybody away for inability to pay. Now, for individuals with developmental disabilities, those services are primarily, you will need Medicaid for that. So oftentimes we come into play when the child turns 18. Now, if the family has Medicaid now, when the child's under 18, we could serve you now. But most often it comes into play when the child turns 18 because they become eligible for Medicaid based on their own individual income versus the family's income. So once you have Medicaid, you would call that county intake number that Marissa was talking about, the 248-464-6363. They will do an eligibility assessment, which generally, do you have Medicaid? Do you have a developmental disability? And if you're deemed eligible, then like I mentioned before, you'll get that choice of provider that you want to work with, and it will go from there. These are our locations. And again, I just want to put our contact information up there. You can contact us by phone at 1-800-75-SEALS. And also our website, www.eastersealsmorc.org. Anybody have any questions for me? No? Okay. Great. Our next presenter is Eva with Michigan Rehabilitation Services. Hi, Eva.
Hi. Right, I'm going to share my screen here. All right, so I work with Michigan Rehabilitation Services. I work out of our Oak Park office. Today I'll talk a little bit about the transition services that MRS provides. So MRS is a state agency. We are under the Department of Labor and Economic Opportunity. So the mission and vision of MRS is to develop customized workforce solutions for businesses and individuals with disability. The vision is a diverse and inclusive workforce that unites businesses and individuals with disabilities toward a common good. So for our student services, those services would be for a student that has an individualized education plan, a 5 or 4 plan, or a disability, must be between the ages of 14 and 26, is interested in learning about careers and exploring the world of work, is currently enrolled in secondary, post-secondary, or other recognized education program, is interested in competitive integrated employment, so that would be overall working, interested in attaining secondary or post-secondary skills or credentials, for example, through high school or post-high school program, maybe is attending an online school, is in college, is maybe in a trade school, or is looking at any other type of vocational training or a GED program. So these would be the students that would receive our transition services. So why work with MRS? So MRS can assist with planning for the future, provide vocational guidance, provide support and services. So our services are very individualized. So the services we provide would depend on what the needs of the individual we are working with are. That would guide our services. So the students would work with the MRS counselor. So the role of the MRS counselor is to provide vocational counseling and guidance, provide or arrange for pre-employment transition services, develop a seamless transition plan. So when the student is ready to exit the school system, we have a plan in place to help the student achieve their employment goals, provide vocational rehabilitation services. We also meet with students, parents, and teachers. We're a partner in the transition planning process. We participate in the IEP meetings. And again, we focus on assisting the students in planning for their future and getting them connected maybe with other resources to help them achieve some of their goals. So the process has 2 steps. So students that are 9th and 10th graders, they would work with our pre-employment transition counselors. Those students would be served for pre-ed services, which basically focus on just exposing students to the world of work and getting them thinking about employment. Again, so it's an early start to job exploration and just kind of getting students to think about careers they're interested in. These services for the 9th and 10th grade students are students that are 2 years from exiting a program, an education program, are provided in collaboration with the education system and community partners. Now, I provide the vocational rehabilitation services, which are the VR services. These services are provided to students that are in 11th and 12th grade or 2 years from exiting their education program. So these services are much more individualized. The services are provided based on what the need of the students are. We tailor the services to the students, and these are really focusing on preparing the student for life after high school and developing that individualized plan for employment, identifying the supports they need and services to help them with achieving that competitive integrated employment. So students receive pre-employment transition services, which are categorized under 5 areas. So job exploration, so this would be looking at what they're interested in terms of careers, the skills or training required for their careers, and then looking at individual career interests. This would also include maybe opportunities for job shadows, informational interviews, other opportunities such as maybe work site tours to learn about different careers, different positions, different industries. The second area is work-based learning experiences. So this would include internships. We also have some work-based learning experiences that we offer every summer. They're about 6 weeks. Students work at a site in a community. They have a job coach there. They do get paid for these experiences, and then we get a report at the end with recommendations on how we can improve their job readiness, or if they are ready for competitive integrated employment, how we can help them achieve those employment goals. The third area is counseling on opportunities for enrollment in post-secondary programs. So this is where we focus on exploring post-secondary options that they have, looking at different trainings, maybe trade schools, universities, colleges, other training institutions that they're interested in learning more about the accommodations they would have in these institutions available to them, looking at the different entrance requirements for the different institutions, the universities, colleges, etc. So we also offer workplace readiness training. This is training that focuses on employability, social and independent living skills. So those are different workshops that we offer in those areas. The last category is self-advocacy. So we really encourage our students to be able to advocate for themselves, their needs. This is extremely important in a work setting and then also in an education setting. So this focuses on how to disclose your disability, how to ask for help or request accommodations at work. So this is the VR process. So this is for those individuals that are in 11th and 12th grade and 2 years from exiting an education program. So the first step is to complete the application. We have to determine eligibility, and then we would work on developing the plan for employment. And then we would provide those services that we've identified in the plan. Towards the second stage of the process would be assisting with securing employment, and then we would stick around for another 90 days to ensure things go well at work, check in every 30 days. And then the final step is to close the case successfully. So this is where we develop that individualized plan for employment that focuses on the employment goal and services. And it serves as an agreement between the student and their MRS counselor. And this is a result of the vocational counseling process. So that career exploration we've done has helped us with identifying the job goal and those services that the student needs to be successful. We also have a trade school, Michigan Career and Technical Institute. It is located in Plainwell, about 2.5 hours from the Metro Detroit area, depending on where you live. In order to attend MCTI, you must have an open VR case with MRS. So you must be working with a VR counselor. You must have a desire to learn. You're able to live independently in the MCTI dormitory because you are required to attend in person at MCTI. You must not be harmful to self or others. You would benefit from participating in pre-vocational and vocational programs. We've determined that the disability is stable and being managed. You must demonstrate acceptable social behaviors, the ability to get along with peers, follow rules, and accept supervision. So every trade, there's about 13 trades, has also specific admission requirements. So there's admission requirements for MCTI, and then each trade has different admission requirements, such as they may require you to be at a certain grade level, for example, for reading and math. So the culinary program may have different requirements than the welding program. We also work with a lot of local partners, such as businesses and employers, mental health providers. Some of the agencies that are presenting here today, we work very closely with them, with either getting our customers connected with those agencies or working in collaboration with those agencies to help us achieve those employment goals we've identified. So we work with Centers for Independent Living, mental health providers, Michigan Works. We work with them very closely. We also work with schools, colleges, and universities, veterans organizations, small business administration, and then federal, state, and local agencies. So if you are interested in MRS services for your student, we have divided those services based on which district you attend. So for the Oak Park office, if your student attends any of these districts, they would be serviced by our Oak Park office. And the phone number and address is right at the top. And then if you attend any of these districts, you would be serviced by our Pontiac office. And the phone number and address is at the top for this office as well. And that's all I had. Any questions?
Any questions for Eva? I don't see any.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks, Eva. Is Kim on here from New? I don't see her. I don't think she's on tonight. We're gonna go to Claire Tiscarina from Oakland Housing Link.
Hi, thanks. Oh, let me get my shades here. Hi, I'm filling in for Jeanette today. Let me just go ahead and share my screen. So Jeanette and I work for something called Oakland Housing Link, which is a joint partnership venture between Community Housing Network and OCHN. And primarily what we do is we focus on supportive housing decisions, either for people in crisis or particularly for individuals who are looking for adult foster care or other supportive services within the home. Let's see here. So I think all of these slides are going to be shared, so I'll let you peruse the history on your own, but we have been in business for over 20 years. And we've helped number of people who are either in housing crisis, who are suffering from mental illness or intellectual developmental disabilities, find housing that suits them and allows them to use their free choice to determine where they would like to live. We have a housing resource center, and the number is up there. The Housing Resource Center administers a number of different programs, particularly to individuals who are in crisis. So that could be short-term housing options, it could be rapid rehousing. There are a number of different resources available. It's a really handy number, and that'll be repeated at the end of the PowerPoint slides. We also have a lot of educational programs having to do with how to rent a home, how to buy a home. Community Housing Network is really sort of a one-stop shop for any of your housing questions. This is particularly important maybe when individuals are graduating from high school and starting to think about living independently. Here is an entire slide on that Housing Resource Center with all the contact information that you might need. But I work specifically for Oakland Housing Link, which is tailored to individuals with mental illnesses and intellectual and developmental disabilities who might choose to live in a supportive environment. And so we can go on to that now. So again, it's Oakland Housing Link. Jeanette Felton manages the program and I work for her. And we are a part of Oakland Community Housing Community Housing Network, and we work with OCHN. Primarily, Oakland Housing Link is a web-based tool. So we work with core providers who are providing services to individuals with mental illness or intellectual and developmental disabilities. And it's almost like an online Zillow for group homes. So we maintain a database for all of the group homes in Oakland County who'd like to register with us. And it doesn't matter if they're primarily associated with MORC or CNS or TTI. We're sort of a clearinghouse for all of the supported group housing. And when a case manager or a supports coordinator logs on and goes into the website, they can see all sorts of different things, whether private bedrooms are available, whether it's wheelchair accessible. They can even see what kind of bus routes the home is near, what kind of supportive staffing is available. So really what we're doing is we're kind of providing a clearinghouse for options for individuals who might need or care for supportive housing. I'm a housing supports broker. So in addition to the website that we're maintaining, I can also offer personalized services. So if you go into Oakland Housing Link and you want to reach out to me directly, I can work with case managers, parents, supports coordinators, anyone who's part of the care team who's looking for a supportive adult foster care environment. And I can conduct all sorts of searches for you. So you would just need to reach out to Jeanette or myself or Oakland Housing Link generally, and all that contact information will be available on the last slide. And we can input all of the information, all of your preferences, and I can run a search for you every 2 weeks and give you any new openings that might have come up. And so if a parent wants to reach out to us, we can work together with the parent. We can work together with the supports coordinators. I can contact you via phone. I can contact you via email, however you prefer. And just let you know whenever an opening comes available in a group home in Oakland County, that looks like something that you might be interested in. Really what we're trying to do is just provide some hope by giving options. It can be really overwhelming. And so we've found that it's very nice just to sort of have a clearinghouse where you can go and see everything all together, and you can get some support in the search. So it doesn't have to take up all of your time. You can get a list with contact information, full descriptions of the homes, and the care team can sort of go from there. We also have something called roommate matching. Generally speaking, our roommate matching services are for individuals who aren't looking for supportive housing, but certainly supports are something that could be talked about between the roommates. And the roommate matching database is available to anyone who, again, is receiving services for mental illness or intellectual and developmental disabilities through any of the core providers like Easter Seals Morgue or TTI or CNS. And what we're trying to do here is bring down the cost of housing. So if individuals really want to live independently and they don't think they need a tremendous amount of supports, but then they go on the open market and they find that housing is just very, very expensive, which it is. We hope to put people in contact together so that they can get to know each other and decide maybe they want to rent an apartment together. It might bring down the cost of housing. So roommate matching is really for individuals who would prefer not to live with supports, who would like to rent an apartment on their own, but are just looking to bring down the cost because it can be very expensive in Oakland County to rent an apartment. And again, that's for anyone receiving services through any of the core providers, through OCHN for mental illness or intellectual and developmental disabilities. We're also a great resource stop at Oakland Housing Link. So if you just come to us, you let us know the situation, even if we can't help, we're always happy to point you in the right direction, particularly within Community Housing Network, which offers a variety of programs in a number of different situations for anyone who's just sort of starting the housing journey. So again, my name is Claire. I work for Jeanette. You can reach out to either of us individually if you have any housing questions or you're just looking for a roadmap or some additional resources. Again, we can conduct all sorts of searches for you, particularly for supportive housing. We also have the general Community Housing Network contact information down there for you as well. I'm happy to answer any questions. I'm happy to take any calls later this week. If anyone would like to have more of an extended conversation, Jeanette is always available too. Thank you.
Thanks, Claire. It's a great tool. I do see one question. Can individuals buy homes or just LLC or companies?
To become a group home provider?
Yes, to
Yes.
actually like run the home. Yes.
Okay, yep. So we generally work with individuals who are contracted with OCHN, and that's where we sort of direct people who are looking to start a home. OLink
Okay.
usually becomes involved when the home is already licensed and partnered with OCHN. And then we're a great tool to list any group home openings. But Jeanette is really knowledgeable about this, and you are more than welcome to call her. She'd happily take your call and discuss it with you too.
Yeah, and what you're saying sounds like exactly what I've been looking for too, because I have a lot of parents coming to me going, "This is overwhelming. I don't know where to look." Or for instance, I think it might be on here right now, but I know a few of my students, they just need a roommate, and maybe once in a while, just a check-in or a ride to the store every once in a while. So that seems like a great resource to have right now. So.
Yeah, I mean, you can always reach out to me. I would definitely recommend reaching out to Jeanette too. She often helps shepherd people through the process of just where do you want to start thinking about this? What questions do you want to start asking? She's a great resource and she often sort of gets the ball rolling for individuals. So I would strongly
Awesome.
recommend reaching out to her. And you can send me an email too. I can forward your information on. Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
No, my pleasure.
Yes, Jeanette is housing guru. So
Yeah, she sure
she's
is,
a great
isn't she?
resource for all things
Yeah.
housing in this area. So you definitely give her a call.
Well, when you
Um,
said like housing Zillow, I was like, I've literally said that out
Yeah.
loud. There needs to be like a group home Zillow around here. So thank you.
Yeah, we actually do
course.
have it. Isn't that great? Okay, next we're gonna go to Jessica Showers with the Arc of Oakland County.
Hi. Oh, there's my camera. There we go. Let me go ahead and share real quick. So, my name is Jessica Showers. I am one of the advocates from the Arc of Oakland County. So we are an agency that provides advocacy and resources and referrals to people that have intellectual and developmental disabilities in Oakland County. So the ARC is a chapter we are a chapter of the ARC Michigan and the ARC National. So we are only able to provide services just in our county, but there are a lot of other ARC chapters around the state. And I will say that every ARC chapter is able to provide different services. We follow the same mission, but our services may differ. So if you're familiar with the ARC of Macomb or maybe one of the ARCs in Wayne County, they might offer something different than what we offer. So the first service that we offer is we offer special education advocacy and assistance. So students that are in, school K all the way through the adult transition, even if they're in preschool or early on, they can receive educational advocacy services from us. So that could mean that we're consulting with the family, providing guidance about their child's special education, or it could mean that we're attending IEP meetings with that family. We also are very familiar with agencies throughout the entire county. So, I mean, everybody here, we're pretty familiar with, we know the county. So if a family comes to us directly and they're searching for a specific service, we're going to provide them the information and referrals to access those services. We do provide systems advocacy. We provide a lot for that transition to adulthood period. There is a lot to be considering at that time. So we frequently meet with families to go through a turning 18 checklist and talk through the things that they should be considering at that time and connecting them to those agencies that they need to be connected with, or helping them navigate that Social Security or Medicaid system. We also do provide some legal assistance. So our executive director, Dawn Calnan, she is an attorney. So she will do simple wills and trusts. She won't write a special need trust, but she will review and provide guidance on that. And then we also assist with creating power of attorney documents and assist with petitioning for guardianship. Navigating government benefits is a huge thing that we assist individuals with on a day-to-day basis, especially with the Medicaid redetermination that restarted last year due to the end of the public health emergency with COVID. So Medicaid was on freeze. Now that we're doing redetermination for the first time again, we're seeing a lot of issues with navigating that. So providing direct support, assisting families to submit appeals, contacting Medicaid on MDHHS on their behalf. We do a lot of that, and same with Social Security benefits, helping people apply for benefits, helping them navigate overpayments, those types of things we're helping a lot with. We also are able to help with other things like setting up an ABLE account or providing guidance on those things. And then, like I mentioned before, we can provide some support and assistance on special needs trusts. We're not drafting them, but Dawn will provide guidance and review trusts, as well as doing simple wills. The special needs trust is very important, especially in that transition to adulthood period, keeping under assets. And it can be very stressful and confusing for families to navigate. And oftentimes attorneys will have a consultation fee. So having the ARC there to at least be able to speak to somebody that is knowledgeable on it before they go and speak to an attorney that's going to create that special needs trust is a helpful resource for many people. One thing that's very unique about the ARC of Oakland County is that we offer a program called the Forever Plan. So this is an after I'm gone type plan. So families often worry about who's going to care for their loved one after they are unable to. So with the Forever Plan, they can enroll their loved one, and and we will provide oversight to their care. So it's unique to each individual person that's enrolled. Some people were just, checking in. It might be a monthly home visit, and we're coordinating with other family, and we're coordinating with the core providers. Other individuals, we might be a little bit more hands-on. We might be their guardian. It's really unique to the individual. This is a fee-for-service plan. So there is a cost associated with us providing that service, but it does provide a lot of relief to families and provide that safeguard that somebody is going to be looking after their loved one, making sure that they are still getting their needs met. So we are a membership-based organization. Our membership is $55 a year, $45 for seniors, and then there is a lifetime membership of $1,000 that is an option. We don't require membership to speak to an advocate, to be provided guidance and information and referrals. Membership is not required for that. We provide that service to anyone in the community. There are services that we do require membership for. If we're going to provide a legal service, then we do ask for that person to be a member. Education advocacy, we do ask for membership if they're getting that support. But we don't turn people away if they can't afford membership. We're absolutely going to provide support in any way that we can. And if somebody cannot afford that membership, then that membership fee can be waived. So we don't want to turn people away. We want to help people in any way that we can, but this membership fee is, what keeps us running. And those that are members, they do get access to those services, and then they do get our newsletter, our email blasts, and we now opened a membership portal that is where we provide exclusive videos on information that is relevant to those that we serve. So we currently have 2 videos out. We have a video about person-centered planning, and then a video about supported decision-making. And these videos are exclusive for our membership to be able to access. The other thing that is brand new that I do not have a slide for is that because we're just opening, we haven't had our grand opening yet. That'll be, I believe we're doing our grand opening in June, but we are open for business for our Advocacy Resource Center. So this is a place that families can come, and we have access, we have computers that they can utilize and get support applying for benefits. Maybe they need help. There's something in their MyBridges account that they don't understand, or they need help. Then they can use our computers and get support, and there will be an advocate present to be able to provide that support. Right now, we're just doing the Advocacy Resource Center based on appointments. We will have walk-in hours eventually, but walk-in hours haven't been established yet. But when they are, we are planning on having at least, a couple weekends where it's open, and then some evenings that will have availability for walk-ins. But we're still rolling it out. It's a new thing. We're super excited that we have it. So if that is something that you're looking for that support on, this is our office number here. Call our office and you can get an appointment to have an advocate assist you in the Advocacy Resource Center. The other thing is, if you are looking to hire a direct support professional, and there is a technology barrier for them to complete the training, they can come and use the resource center to conduct their training, online training. So that is also a good benefit. A big benefit of that is that hopefully we can get some more people trained and working as direct support professionals. And that is my spiel on who we are as an agency. This is our contact information. I can put my direct contact information in the chat as well. Do we have questions?
Thanks, Jessica. Looks like there's a question. Can you talk a little bit about adult home service?
Yeah, so are we asking directly about adult home help services?
Yes, I initially tried getting my daughter for that adult home services. And I didn't send the paperwork in time, so I was basically kicked out of the program. But I just wondered what the program was about and what services it provided.
Yeah, so if we're talking about adult home help, that is provided through that's DHHS, and that is where a caregiver could be paid to provide care like services for activities of daily living. So feeding, bathing. There's a long list of services that I could definitely, if you could give you some more information on, but that is through, like I said, that's through DHHS, so that's where you'll be submitting the application, but I'll put my email in the chat, and if you want to email me, I can provide you with the like a brochure and the information on how to apply for that.
Now the caretakers that would come, those are free, right? The caretakers that would come with the do the services, is that other than the membership?
Yeah, so are you speaking about for adult home help? Because so we don't provide adult home help, like I said, it's through the Department of Health and Human Services, it's Medicaid funded, so they would get paid through Medicaid based on what services are approved. So they do have a medical needs form to determine what services a person needs, and then they would get approved for certain services. And then that
Okay,
would
I
be
just
funded through
I had a
Medicaid.
certain just kind of family in my mind who I know has issues, like the mom has issues, and you guys kind of sound like a good place to actually send the mom so you could help the mom navigate the son, because she's having issues navigating what to do with the son. That sounds like I need to send her to you guys to help
Yeah,
her
so we
navigate.
can definitely provide some guidance. So a lot of things a lot of services we don't directly provide. A lot of our
You
service needs
direct
is
them
more
to.
directed, doing referrals. So, but if they need help navigating a system, like I said, applying for Medicaid, or applying for Social Security, or applying for adult home help services, those we could assist them. So I would say for that family, if they call our office and request an appointment to talk to one of the advocates, then we can definitely kind of help them, lead them in the right direction.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Yeah, the ARC is great at helping people navigate. Another organization, they're not on here tonight, but they're called Disability Network of Eastern Michigan, or DNEM. They're really great at being benefits experts. So like all of the, the DHHS programs, and they know like the ins and outs of all the different benefits programs, how to apply, and they can also assist with, they actually like sit with people and help, fill out forms and make phone calls and things like that if that's needed. So they're another great resource if you're talking about benefits. So it looks like there's a couple more questions here.
Yeah, I see some other questions.
Okay, we worked with ARC to set up guardianship 5 years for our son. It works fine. Is there any need for review with ARC as time goes on? Any law changes we should be worried about?
Well, so for speaking of guardianship, and if this is a partial guardianship that gets renewed in 5 years, you do need to re-petition the court for that guardianship renewal. But so it just depends on how that guardianship is written. So if you want assistance petitioning the court again, that is something that we could provide and provide that support. So it just depends on if that renewal is needed. But I'm not familiar of any law changes. It's just if you're at the 5-year point, you might be at that point to renew.
So thank you for answering the question. Just to follow up. So every year we I don't know if it's petition, but we recertify with Oakland County. You know that our son still needs the guardianship in place, and that his condition autism hasn't changed at all. So I didn't realize we have to do a 5 year. Is that the same thing?
So like I said, it depends on how your how the guardianship was awarded. If it was awarded partial or if it was awarded plenary, and if you you know, we can definitely help try to help you figure that out. But so there is an annual report that is done every year, so that's what you're
Yes.
talking about. And then if it's partial and it has a 5-year renewal, it is basically like starting at square one again. You have to petition the court again, have a new psychological assessment, have a new court hearing. So it just depends on if it's expired at this point.
Would the guardianship state that it's partial and it expires throughout like 2023, 2024? So it would state that?
It should,
Okay.
but I don't know off the top of my head exactly where on the paper, how it's written on the order from the court. But like I said, I mean, if you send me an email, I can always, and you know, run that past our attorney Dawn, and she'll tell me exactly what we need to be looking for.
We
Okay,
actually
I
have an
appreciate it.
attorney
I
coming
can
up, so he
review it.
might be able to shed
Oh
light as
yeah, he
well.
might be able to.
Yeah, thank you
Yeah.
for bringing it up. I'll review to see if there's something that we need to do, but thank you.
Hey, Steve, if I can interject, we had that same issue with our daughter. We had the 5-year guardianship, and we went with Dawn, and she suggested that we went with a power of attorney because that's a lifetime thing, and you don't have to renew this thing every 5 years with the court. So we sound like we're in the same boat as you are. And Dawn helped us with a power of attorney for our daughter.
Yeah, I don't think we have power of attorney, so thank you. Yeah. Now you gave me a task that I got to do to make sure that he's covered.
Yeah, and with power of attorney, I don't want to even take too much of the time tonight, but with power of attorney, it's one or the other. You either have guardianship or you have power of attorney, but you know, anytime somebody comes to us for guardianship, now we always have a consultation with them about both power of attorney and guardianship, so they know the options. And if you are feeling that, you know, if you want to contact me and you want to talk more about power of attorney, if you're feeling that maybe power of attorney is going to work better, we can also talk about what needs to be done to have that guardianship revoked and have a power of attorney put in its place instead.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Just for the organizations not here, well, yes, you will, tomorrow, I will send information out, including information for the ones who weren't able to be here tonight. So yes, you will still get that, that resource and information. Is Kathleen Cecil on? I did message her that she was coming up sooner than expected. I just want to make sure she's not one of the Stephanie Baileys. Okay, so why don't we go to Andy next then, and we'll see if Kathleen ends up coming on. So Andy, I'm sure you've heard all the talk here about guardianship. Maybe you could shed a little bit of light and then go into your
I'll get into that because I can actually speak quite a bit. I actually had that situation pop up this past December. Hold on, I'm gonna try sharing a screen here. Right here. Is this working?
Yes.
I'm just trying to put it into slideshow mode. All right, there we go. All right, hi, I'm Andy, Andrew Hopko. I am an attorney that focuses solely on trust and estates work, anything that probate court has jurisdiction over. I do a lot of special needs planning. I work very closely with two, well, actually, I'm part of a nonprofit group called Empowered Futures. And my business partner, Kurt Davis, who's a financial planner with New Possibilities Financial Group, who's usually on these presentations, is not here tonight. But I'm going to kind of talk how Kurt and I work very closely together to provide help for families with special needs loved ones. Let's see. What we try to do is answer the two key questions people have. How can I improve the life of my child today? And the one that weighs heavy on most people is, who will take care of my child when I'm gone? And like I said, there's always question 3 that I find with most families: where do I even start for these two things? So we like to look at it in 4 different ways. There's financial planning, government benefits, Medicaid, Social Security, and any other needs-based benefits that your loved ones might be entitled to. Estate planning through the use of special needs trust, and we also get into guardianships and, if possible, powers of attorney. And then what we call life care planning. Kurt speaks eloquently on this. It's called a letter of intent. It's basically, for lack of a better term, an instruction manual for people who are going to take care of your loved ones in the future. It talks about routines. It talks about medicines that they take, medicines that they may be allergic to. Kurt calls it the bananas and the Cheerios letter. And it's basically, if your child or your loved one likes bananas and their Cheerios, their care provider in the future is going to know that each morning when they have a bowl of Cheerios, they want bananas in it. So it helps with that transition when you're not there for someone to provide for your loved ones. So what I do the legal side of things. I create the vessels, basically the pots. They're going to hold benefits that you can leave for your loved ones. And then once those are in place, I turn over to Kurt, who's the financial advisor, or any financial advisor you may work with. And then they do all the heavy lifting to find out how are they going to properly fund those trusts. I could get into talking about special needs trusts, third party versus first party. I'm not going to, and I'll get bogged down with that. So I actually want to jump to this guardianship issue that came up with the earlier. This idea of, there's plenary guardianship, which is a full guardianship. There are partial guardianships. Don't think that just because it's called a partial guardianship that you won't have full decision-making authority over your child. The reason plenary, you don't have to renew. The court they don't award them often. I actually was successful in getting plenary guardianship for a client in Wayne County Probate Court this past year, because the court recognized that there's no possibility for their child to make decisions for themselves moving forward, or any sort of informed decision regarding their care. What happens, I'm sorry, I'm jumping around. A lot of times parents don't realize that when their child with special needs reaches the age of 18, this child who's been dependent on them their entire life, and this child who's going to continue to be dependent on them moving forward, the parent loses the decision-making ability for that child at age 18. So often we go to guardianship. One of the things I talk about, the thing people need to think about when their loved ones hit age 18 is this idea of authorization. What can you do to make sure you or somebody else has the ability to make decisions for your loved one with special needs in the event they can't? Now, this idea of power of attorney came up, and it's a starting point, but a lot of times it's really not an option. A power of attorney is a grant of authority from somebody saying, I'm authorizing you to make decisions on behalf of me. I get calls from people all the time who say, hey, I need power of attorney for my grandma, or I need power of attorney for my elderly mother. And I think to myself, I'm sure you do, but you can't request power of attorney for somebody else. They have to grant that authority to you. So I give power of attorney to somebody. My daughter, when she turned 18, and was going away to college, I lost the ability to make medical decisions for her. And if she were to fall and hit her head at school and wind up in the hospital, I wouldn't be authorized to hear her medical information, to make decisions for her. So she granted me power of attorney to make medical decisions in the event she couldn't. In the special needs world, yeah, power of attorney, it might be an option, but a lot of times the child just doesn't have the capacity to grant that. I had a client recently, I did estate planning, created a special needs trust for their child, and he was approaching the age of 18 and they didn't want to go to probate court. They had there's a lot of misconceptions about probate court. And they were so afraid, we don't want to have guardianship, we don't want the court involved. We want to do power of attorney. And I hadn't had an opportunity to meet this young man yet. So I went and sat with him one day and tried to explain to him what power of attorney was, and quickly realized there was no way I ethically could create a power of attorney for him because he had no understanding whatsoever of what a power of attorney was. He could barely sign his name. Yeah, he nodded, I want my mom to make decisions for me, but he didn't understand exactly what he was doing. In that case, power of attorney was not possible. We could not do it because he did not have the capacity to grant that authority to his mom or to anybody else who might make decisions. So at that point, we go to guardianship in the probate court. Another thing to remember too is that with power of attorney, that's again, it's a grant of authority. You are not taking away any ability for that individual to make decisions for themselves. With guardianship, you have removed their ability to make decisions for themselves. So if they're a flight risk, if they're not complying with, treatment, if in a lot of cases, they're not going to be that combative, but there are situations where you have to take that step to where they'll be a harm to themselves. So guardianship says this person is legally incapacitated. They are unable to make decisions for themselves. And now we're appointing somebody else who's going to have that sole authority. That the individual, the ward, the person with guardianship who has a guardian is no longer able to make decisions for themselves. So that's the difference between power of attorney and guardian. I know that issue came up. Again, the goal with guardianships on the developmental disability side is to maximize independence as much as possible. So the court's when they look at whether you're making placement decisions, you're making medical decisions, you're making education decisions, you're making monetary decisions, because on the DD side, guardians have financial powers as well. The court's going to look at how intrusive do we have to be, what authority are we going to grant the guardian? Because they want to maximize as much independence as possible. And that's the reason we have that 5-year renewal process. We file the annual reports because each year the court wants to be informed what's the status of the ward on a year-to-year basis. Has anything changed? How's their health? How's their health? What treatments have they received? What programs are they involved in? But it's, truth be told, the court doesn't dive deep into it. But every 5 years, we have the more thorough reapplication process where you have a new psychological evaluation, you have a new physical appraisal, and kind of a new assessment of what needs does the individual have, how are they being addressed, and what authority does the guardian need to help this individual, make it live on a day-to-day basis. So, that's the guardianship side. I mean, I could talk forever on this, and I know we have limited time. I'm always available for questions. Kurt and I both believe in accessibility. Everybody's situation is different, and I know people are sometimes afraid to call lawyers because, what's this phone call going to cost me? I don't charge for phone calls. I'm a sole practitioner, so I don't have anyone else to report to, just myself. So I don't feel right charging people for phone calls, because sometimes it's a quick 10 minute phone call where somebody has a simple question, I can put them at ease. So whether it's legal questions to me, financial questions to Kurt. I know we talked briefly about Medicaid and Medicare. Kurt and I have another partner named Sunny, who owns Sunnyside Medicare. Sunny talked today in a earlier panel discussion we did, where he helped a father of a special needs child get his daughter on Medicaid and Medicare, and it wound up, and the dad had previously had his daughter on his own private health insurance at a cost of $400 a month. She was able to transition onto Medicaid and Medicare at zero cost and get a whole wide range of benefits, and saving the dad, $5,000 annually. So we do have people who work in that area as well. Any questions?
Do you guys ever give advice to group home financial planning?
in a sense, I do Medicaid planning for long-term care for the elderly. Group home, I mean, if there's if you're trying to find out a way to create an income stream to cover the cost of it, yeah, Kurt's a wizard at that.
Awesome.
I'm sorry?
Awesome. That's awesome.
Oh, yeah, no, and if you have any kind of questions on the financial side, I strongly recommend giving Kurt a call. You know, he's really accessible. He's a great guy.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
You are welcome.
Andy, this is Randy. You
Hi,
came to
Randy.
Pine Tree Center. How you doing?
Good, how are you?
I'm wonderful. I just want to make a comment that he came to our school last year. He's coming again April 4th, Patrick, to discuss all this information again to our parents. You have been so helpful, and our parents keep requesting them to come back. So thank you. That's all I can say. Thank you. Because
Well,
it's
Randy, you
helpful.
know I don't miss school, so I'm going to meet him.
Yeah, the Pine Tree event, we did it twice last year. It was awesome.
I know. And we have you set for April 4th, I believe, this coming April.
Oh, good. I'll be fresh back.
I know,
from
put it in,
vacation.
I know.
But at that event, Kurt and I we actually dig in a little bit deeper to what we do and answer a lot more specific questions. So
Awesome,
I
awesome.
strongly encourage you to show up. And I believe Sunny may be there as well. That
would be
talk
awesome.
about that Medicaid and Medicare
Good.
item that I just briefly glazed over.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Does anybody have any other questions? Oh. Kathleen, were you able to make it on? Just where we go here. That is all of our presentations. I don't see her. That's all of our presentations for today. Hopefully you guys got some good information. Again, I will look for emails from me tomorrow. I will send an email with all of our the contact information for all of the presenters and the ones that weren't able to be here tonight. And then I will send you it will come via a file transfer with the recording, because the recording is too big to send via email. So it will come that way. So look for those tomorrow morning, and feel free to follow up with any of the presenters individually today. And with that, we hope
Thank you so much.
Hope everybody has a great night.
Yeah, that was awesome. Thank you guys so much.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome.